And welcome to this edition of the Native News Update on this Monday, October 1st. I'm your host for today's program, Paul DeMain, and many of the stories we read here can also be found at our website at IndianCountryNews.com, and here are some of those news stories for the day. The Suquamish tribe has opened a $7.5 million museum on the Port Madison Reservation near Paulsbo, Washington. The Seattle Daily Journal of Commerce reports it exhibits tribal artifacts and cultural objects. It also has an auditorium and a museum store. Chief Seattle is buried on that reservation at Suquamish. The University of Colorado Denver has received nearly a $2.9 million in federal grant money to help reduce chronic diseases in American Indians and Native Alaskans. The money is from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention's REACH program, which stands for Racial and Ethnic Approaches to Community Health. The grant money will be used by the Centers for American Indian and Alaska Native Health within CU Denver's Colorado School of Public Health. It plans to use the money to reduce diabetes and heart disease in American Indian and Native Alaskan populations by focusing on programs to address nutrition, physical activity, and weight. Federal authorities say the last of 7 men charged in connection with the drug robbery killing of another man in northern New York has been sentenced to prison. U.S. Attorney Richard Hartunian says 26-year-old Chad Edwards of Cornwall, Ontario, was sentenced to 10 years last week after pleading guilty to conspiring to rob Daniel Simmons of cash and a large quantity of Canadian-grown marijuana in the year 2008. Simons was killed by a gunshot during a struggle with several of the men in his home in the St. Lawrence County town of Stockholm. Authorities say Simons had ties to the Akwesasne Reservation that straddles the border with Canada. The sentences for the other men range from 11 to 25 years. A spokesman for Republican U.S. Senator Scott Brown says he regrets members of his staff were seen shouting war whoops and performing tomahawk chops, and that they have been given their first and only warning against such conduct. The comments came after a second video surfaced showing Brown speaking to supporters while war whoops can be heard in the background. The whoops escalate as Brown criticizes Democratic Elizabeth Warren's claim of Native American heritage. Last week, another video was posted showing staff members for Brown and the state Republican Party shouting war whoops and making tomahawk chopping motions with their arms. 2 Native American organizations have called the behavior racist and disturbing. Warren has been documenting her Cherokee and Delaware heritage on Facebook at a site called the Native American Ancestors of Elizabeth Warren. Archaeologists and volunteers have found musket balls and other artifacts confirming the site of the biggest battle of the Rogue River Indian Wars nearly 150 years ago. Southern Oregon University announced that the site of the 1855 Battle of Hungry Hill is on federal land west of Interstate 5 in southern Oregon between Glendale and Sunny Valley, according to the Mail Tribune. After fleeing an attack by Jacksonville miners on their Table Rock Reservation outside Gold Hill, a band of about 200 American Indians fought off about 300 soldiers and militia members over several days in October of 1855. A few months later, the wars ended when the Indians were forced to move hundreds of miles from their home to the Grand Ronde and Seelitz reservations. Southern Oregon University archaeologist Mark Taveskov said the battle's location had long been a mystery. A federal judge heard arguments September 28th in a dispute between 2 tribes that share a reservation in Wyoming. One says their religious beliefs demand that they kill eagles for their annual sun dance, while the tribe says their religious beliefs demand the birds be protected. The Northern Arapaho tribe sued the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service last year over its failure to issue a permit allowing it to kill eagles. The Eastern Shoshone tribe intervened in the lawsuit, saying it has an undivided interest in all the eagles on the Wind River Reservation and wants them alive. The federal agency this spring issued the Northern Arapaho tribe the nation's first permit allowing bald eagles to be killed for religious purposes. However, the federal permit specified the Northern Arapaho could kill up to 2 eagles a year, saying it would have to be done off of the reservation. The state of Wyoming, however, meanwhile, prohibits anyone from killing eagles off the reservation. A California man has been indicted for selling fake Indian jewelry in New Mexico. U.S. Attorney Ken Gonzalez in Albuquerque says 59-year-old Androgene Alvarez of Wolford Heights, California, has been indicted on a charge of falsely representing that the jewelry he was selling was made by American Indians. Alvarez pled guilty in initial court appearance last week. According to the indictment, Alvarez was selling the non-authentic jewelry at the May Native Treasure Show at the Santa Fe Community Convention Center in violation of the Federal Indian Arts and Crafts Act. He faces up to 5 years in prison and a $250,000 fine if found guilty. And that's going to be another roundup of news from Indian Country. On this edition of the Native News Update, we want to say thanks for joining with us and come back again soon.